Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am the teacher Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live, you can call us on the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM and also on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. You're always welcome to join me live through the Zoom link, which is available both from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. Our classes are scheduled from Monday through Thursday from 9 till 10 in the morning, and we are in our second week of our 9-week course. You should start to be thinking about what work you need to be submitting as we go along. So a reminder that the support questions, the ones with the pencil, are the practice questions. They are not to be submitted for marking. So you can decide which ones to do and how many to do. If you're understanding concept, feel free to skip questions. You don't need to do more practice just because they're there. However, if you're struggling with a concept and you need more practice, let me know and I can send you some more questions. The key questions, the ones with the little key icon, are the ones to submit for grading. So please do all of these questions. Don't skip any of them. Do them all and show all of your work, your steps, your thinking. Give me as much information as you can so I can give you as much credit for your understanding as I can. The more information you give me, the better I can understand what it is that you understand, and if you're struggling with anything, where that area is. All right, so then how do you actually submit your work for marking? Well, there's 3 methods. The first is to scan your work and send it electronically. You can scan your completed work through a device. If you have an Apple device, it comes with the free Notes app, which has a scan function, and the Android devices have a free Google Drive app, which also has a scan function. Both are fairly straightforward to use and make the files slightly smaller, which is easier to send. If you need to take pictures because you aren't unable to access those apps or just aren't sure how to, no worries, you can take pictures, that's fine. Scanning them just makes them a little bit easier. Then you can send it to me either through email at studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Or you could also send it to me through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B. Slate Wahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at our location, 74 Front Street. We're the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. We are not yet open to the public. Hopefully we will be soon. But for now, just put your work in that mailbox and I will get it back to you as soon as I can. The third method is to hand your work into your DEC. Then your DEC can send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. Students are also welcome to fax their work in if they have access to a fax machine. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and my YouTube channel are under the name B. Slate Wahsa. If you friend me on Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube channel, then you'll get notifications every time I upload one of our course videos. All of our radio Zoom classes are recorded, and then I upload them shortly to YouTube after airing. I also have short videos explaining common errors and confusing concepts, as well as tech tutorials on my YouTube channel. So that can be a good place to go if you're struggling with something. There might be, I've already maybe addressed it and given you some help there, opposed to just doing a general web search. Math is an incredibly visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the videos. If you can't join me live through Zoom and you're struggling to access YouTube videos because you don't have reliable internet, that's completely understandable. Just let me know and I can send you a copy of the recordings, which you can then watch offline. So maybe at the Learning Center, or if you have a separate device that you can access videos but struggle with the internet, let me know so that I can support you with that so you can still get the full experience. All right, so if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and contact me. I am reaching out to students, really going to focus on that this week. So hopefully I connect with everyone, but if for some reason I haven't connected with you, please reach out to me as well. My email address is bronwyn.slate, and that's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. My Facebook is bslatewasa. My phone number is 807-737-1488, extension 2209. Or you could also call us toll free at 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., though I teach from 9 till 11 in the morning, so I'm not available then. If you can't connect with me within those hours and you want to set up a time to chat outside of that time, please just let me know and we can work to figure out what works for both of our schedules. All right, so we are continuing lesson 4 today. In our last lesson, we looked at how to actually calculate paying income tax. It is a challenging lesson that has a lot going on in it. So lesson 4 really has a lot going on in it. So I broken it up over 2 lessons to give as much time to calculating the income tax because it can be really confusing with those tax brackets. But today we're going to complete the rest of lesson 4, the other parts. So at the end of this lesson, our learning goal is that you'll be able to identify the different forms required for filing income taxes, and you will also understand what are called hidden taxes. So you know you've met your learning goals because you can recognize the forms to file and the paperwork needed to file income taxes, and you can calculate indirect taxes on cigarettes, jewelry, and gasoline. All right, but first let's do a mental math activity and get our brain activated. So I am a firm believer that Mad Math Minutes are not the way to develop comfortable and ease with math facts and with numbers. Many people who have experienced these they just cause them stress and they don't actually teach them anything. So we work on developing strategies that you can use in various situations based on your comfort with the numbers and using friendly numbers for yourself. So our question today is 4 times 6, and we're going to use the strategy of doubling and halving. Now, this is one that probably many of us were forced to memorize and either were able to or weren't. But here's a strategy that you can use in lots of situations, but we can see it even with smaller numbers that we weren't necessarily given tools to figure out. So with doubling and halving, what we're going to do is we're going to double one of our numbers and cut our other number in half. So I'm going to times, I'm going to times 6 times 2. So I'm going to double 6 and I'm going to divide 4 by 2 to cut it in half. So 4 cut in half is 2 and 6 doubled. So 6 times 2 is 12. And that is still going to be the same thing as if 4 times 6 is the same as if I do 2 times 12. They are like sibling equations kind of, because I've just cut one in half, but I've doubled the other one. You have to do cutting one in half and doubling the other one to make this work. So then again, we can think, well, we can cut 2 in half again, which is going to be 1, and we can double 12, which is 24. So 1 times 24 is 24. So 4 times 6 is also 24. And that's how doubling and halving can work, is that you cut one of your numbers in half and you double the other one until you get to something that you can actually multiply that makes sense for you. All right, so what do we need to engage in? What's our prior learning that we need to turn our brains on about? So I just wanted to go over finding percentages. I know we've briefly talked about percentages already in this course, but they can get a little bit more complicated than what we've already seen. So a reminder that percentages is the mathematics number or ratio which can be represented as a fraction of 100. The term percent originates from a Latin word percentium, which means per 100. The symbol percentage is used to denote percentage. So it's the little hash line, like backslash, with a 0 above and a 0 below. So percentages are part of our daily lives in the following examples: in discounts, in interest charged on loans, to evaluate the performance of students, to calculate value, how value changes over time, like with cars or property. So percentages really show up a lot in our lives. It's important to understand how they work. So how do we actually calculate a percentage? So there's two possibilities for finding the percentage of a number. To find the percentage of a number when it's in decimal form, you just need to multiply the number by 100. For example, to convert 0.5 to a percentage is 0.5 times 100, which is equal to 50%. So we have been already going the opposite way, where we had 50%, we divided by 100 to get to 0.5, but to go from a decimal to a percentage, we multiply by 100, and that gives us our percentage. You need to make sure we're including the percentage symbol, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So the second case involves a fraction. If the number given is in fractional form, so not a decimal, you first need to convert it to a decimal and then multiply it by 100. So for example, to find the percentage of 1/6, so 1 over 6, we do 1 divided by 6, which is going to be 0.1666. And then we do that number 0.1666 times 100, and that gives us 16.7%. So if it's already in a fraction, we need to divide it. This symbol, this fraction symbol, also means division. So we divide it and then we multiply it by 100. Okay, so that's just a reminder of how percentages work, as that shows up a lot in this lesson and also in the rest of this course. So what is our new learning that we are going to be talking about today? So we're going to be talking about tax paperwork. So filing your income taxes is something that each year Canadians must do. So must file what's called an income tax return. This is a document which shows the government how much income you have made throughout the year, as well as any deductions. So also what things are that you've paid into and other things that you have spent money on that are can count as deductions. So the purpose of this is to ensure that each worker has paid the correct amount of deductions. So commonly it is found that you have paid too much or too little throughout the year. So you don't want to just assume that everything has gone correctly. That's why we do income taxes, is because we need to check to make sure that possibly you've paid too much and you get an income tax return. That's when you get money back. Or if you haven't paid enough, then you have to pay taxes to make sure that you are contributing to our society where we are taking care of everyone. So how do you complete your income tax return? And this is on page 26 of your IEL booklet. So to help complete your taxes, there are various forms that need to be completed to calculate the amount of income tax that should be paid both provincially and federally. So there's a whole bunch of forms you need to fill out. But you can, in this day and age, you can use tax preparation software. So you can complete your return online using tax preparation software certified for NetFile. So you want to make sure that you can, whatever you choose, if you choose to do an online or a virtual, like a digital return, that it actually can be submitted to NetFile, which is the government website that takes care of all of this. So you can find free, pay what you can, and paid programs are found at canada.ca/netfile. If you can go there, and then there's a bunch of different options. Here are a few options. Inuit TurboTax, which is the one that I've used for many years. It is, depending on how much money you make, you may or may not have to pay for it. And it has different options in terms of if you are filing with a partner, if you're filing Signal, if you are business owner and you need to do, or like are self-employed, then they have supports there. That's the one that I know the best. But I assume that the other ones are very similar. So Wealth Simple Tax and Cloud Tax, Each Tax, Taxtron. You want to make sure that they're Canadian based, as I'm sure that there's equivalent things in the States and other places in the world. But what you're going to need to do for Canada is going to be different. So there's lots of different ones. You can figure out what makes the most sense for you. So to use a tax preparation service, you take all of your documents that you have and then you input information, and then the tax preparation service, it completes the return for you. So this is like going to a building. So like H&R Block is something that often shows up. They have like little pop-ups in places that have accountants who are there, and then you just go in. Or Liberty Tax is another one, where you can, and tax seasons in like March and April, they are just there, and you can walk in with all of your receipts and all of your documents, and then you give them to them, and the accountants figure out how to fill out the forms. They often are using tax preparation online programs, but they are just helping to make sure that it all gets filled out properly. Also, locally in Sioux Lookout, there are a few that you can search up: Stone, Ashton and Wright, GRD Accounting and Tax Services Inc., Jeff Taxes, BDO Canada LLP are all accounting firms in Sioux Lookout. Again, you can look in your area if there may or may not be services available to you. The third is to complete the actual paper return. So you can get the actual piece of paper and write on it and then mail it to your tax center. So if you filed the paper return last year, then the Canadian Revenue Agency, the CRA, will automatically mail you a package by March, and then you can then fill it out. If you want to get it yourself, or for the first time you're doing it by paper, you can view it, download it, and print the package from canada.ca/taxes-general-package. And then you can order it at canada.ca get-CRA-forms, or then they'll mail it to you. Or you can call the CRA at 1-855-330-3305, and you'll need to give them your social insurance number, as all of our taxes are attached to our social insurance number, so they know that's your like number that keeps everything organized. So you can totally do a paper return and then just mail it. And we'll walk through a little bit about that, though you really just follow the instructions on the paper. It can take up to 10 business days for the publications and forms to arrive by mail. We also know that the mail has been struggling for the last few years with COVID, so I would give it a little extra time. So it's important to give yourself time, as you don't want to do this right before at the end of April when everything is due. You want to make sure that you have some time to get the paperwork, fill out the paperwork, and then return it. All right, so the first one that we're going to look at is the Form TD1, which is the Personal Tax Credits Return. You must complete Form TD1 when you start a new job. Your employer uses the information from your completed form to determine how much tax they must deduct from your pay. So this form here isn't actually part of the tax return, but this is what, when you start a new job, you fill out this form, and they then see how much taxes they're going to take off, and you can adjust it accordingly to some of these things, what's applicable for you. But that way your employer knows how much taxes to deduct, so that you don't end up having to owe a whole bunch of tax at the end of the year. Then when it comes to tax time, this is what the income tax and benefit return form looks like. This is from 2015. It's what I was able to find online. So it's a little bit old, but generally the same information. And so you fill out your personal identification information and where you live and how long you live there, your social insurance number, your date of birth, your marital status, information about your partner. And then they also have information about elections in terms of they can then send you information about how to vote in your area because they're getting all of your information anyway. And then there's parts often that say do not use this area. So don't write in that area. That's for somebody else who to fill in something, some sort of codes or something that we don't know what it's being processed. So make sure that you don't write in the places that say do not use this area. Then how the forms are all set up is that they give you instructions. So you need to read all of the lines. So it says this guide contains value information to help you complete your return. When you come to a line on the return that applies to you, go to the line number in the guide for more information. So it can be a little bit confusing, but generally you just try to follow the steps. So total income, employment income, box 14 on all of your T4 slips. So we're going to look at your T4 slips in a minute. But what you do is you look at box 14 and you're going to add up all the boxes 14 from all of your T4 slips if you have more than one. And then you'd write that number here on this line 101. And you write the dollars here and the cents on the other side. And then continuing commission included on line 101, box 42 on all T4 slips. So if you have something that's on box 42, then you would write it here. And then you can continue down each of the lines and you see which lines make sense. And then you write it in the numbers, the income on the lines that are applicable to you. Lots of lines might be blank. So that's totally understandable that you have lots of lines that are not true for you. Then at the bottom, it says add lines 144, 145, and 156. Sorry, 146. So then you would look here and you would find those added up. Then it says add lines 101, 104 to 143 and 147. So you do 101, 143 to 147. Or 147, then you add those up and then you write that total here on line 150 and that is your total income. So this is how it works, is that you just are filling in the blanks based on the numbers that make sense to you. And then it continues. Then it says a tax schedule 1 for your federal tax and form 428, your provincial or territorial tax here, and then any other slips or forms receipts that you have. So then you continue to fill out all of these lines. Then it then you follow the instructions. You just, where it says line 435 minus line 482, you subtract that and you write it there. Then if it's negative, you have a refund. That means that it will be giving money. If it's positive, then you have a balance owing. So if it's a refund, then you write here. If you have a balance, then you write it here. And then you can write your direct deposit. So they put the money right into your bank account, information here, and then you sign it. So that's the first part. So this is called your T1 general, and that's your actual tax return. So this is the one form that you need to fill out. But then there is the Schedule 1, which talks specifically about federal tax. So again, you need to fill out all of these lines too. Go through all of these and fill out these lines. And then here is the federal tax on taxable income. So this is what we were calculating with the taxable, with the brackets yesterday. So it's broken down for you. Again, these numbers are old because this is a 2015. But they walk you through how to do it. The same idea that we were doing in our previous lesson about how to figure out how much money you have in each of those brackets. Then you just keep filling it out. So this is your Schedule 1, and it's one of the forms you need to complete for federal income tax. It comes with your T1 general form package. And then we have for Ontario, because we're in Ontario, so this is going to look different if you're in a different province or territory. We have the form ON 428. And again, this shows you the tax brackets, and they walk you through how to calculate the tax brackets and then continue to have other lines that you go through and fill out. And then this is this continuation, just has more. So the ON 428 is the provincial income tax form, and it also comes in the T1 general form package. So you need to fill out all of these 3 forms. So that's, remember, that's if you're doing the papers. If you do it online or if you go to a tax preparation service, then you're doing the exact same information, but it doesn't necessarily look the same because they skip over stuff that they ask you questions and then they skip over stuff that isn't applied to you. When you're doing the paper form, you have to look at all of the things and decide which ones you're skipping over yourself. But if you do one of the services, then you're paying for the service of them asking the question, figuring out what are the right things for you to do. Okay, so I briefly talked about T4s. I mentioned them before, so we're gonna go into that a little bit more. So a T4 is a slip that is completed and given to employees by the employer. So the person who pays you money gives you, the person who's working, a T4. And you can have more than one T4 depending on if you're doing more than one job. So it's called the statement of remuneration paid. And what it means is that it's the official record. It's like the receipt that tells the amount of income that you've earned in that calendar year. So when we do taxes again in March and April of 2023, then the T4 will say all the income that you've earned from that job in 2022, the amount of income tax, CPP, and EI paid in 2022 will be written on your T4, and any other deductions made that calendar year through your payroll. So some jobs have, like, you can choose to pay through to a charity donation, or you have other pension plans or things like that. That all is written on your T4 if it goes through your employer, if it goes through your work. So here's an example of what a T4 looks like. It has your company name, it has your address on it, your social insurance number. If you have a different ID number for that job, it might have it there. And then here's line 14. Remember how we talked about when we were filling out the TD1 form, talked about how all of your income from your T4 is line 14. So here's where it says line 14. So this job in 2012, this person made $65,000 at this job. That was their gross income. And then line 22 is your income tax deducted. So, oh, and then here also it says on your T4, it connects it to the line that you're going to be writing it on your income tax. So like here it says line 101, which is what we had to fill in. All the lines from line 14 goes into line 101. So the income tax goes into line 437. So this person paid $17,000 in income tax that year. And then CPP is the Canadian Pension Plan for line 16 was $170. EI line 24 is $700, and that continues the information that is here. Some of them are going to be blank because they don't have any, either it didn't apply to you or you didn't contribute anything there. And some of them have numbers in them. The charitable donations you might not have. This was if you like through your payroll donate to a charity. Down at the bottom, there might be other numbers. They might have a different number and a different amount that might apply to you that are not general to everybody. So the ones that are up here in the top where they have the numbers already printed and the explanation of what they are, that is standard for most people have things that fall into those categories. The ones at the bottom are ones that might be specific to you or your employer, depending on the situation. So you still have to use that information. So that's just important to remember. Okay, so looking at an example T4. So this is Clement's T4 from 2008. So where did he work is the first thing that we are wondering. So we look here, and Techno Designs is where he worked. So the employer's name is up here in this box. So that answers the question. Techno Designs. is where Clement worked in 2008. How much did he earn? So we look here at line 14 is his employment income. So $28,000 in that year is how much he earned. How much was deducted for income tax? So income tax is here. I know that this on my screen, this one that I have is not really great, easy to see, but I'm pretty sure I put better ones in the hopefully in your own packages. So 3,700 was for income tax. For CPP, that's this line here, line 16, I think, which is $1,212.75. So you don't have to actually calculate it. We practiced in calculating in last lesson, but here they show you that calculation happens at payroll, and then your T4 tells you the numbers that need to go. So it's important to understand how it's calculated, but you don't have to actually calculate it. Then CEI, so employment insurance, is $484. And 40 cents. And then charitable donations, we see is this line 46. Charitable donations was $104. And RPP contributions. So there's nothing written down on any of the lines to say RPP. So we just say 0. And that's how you understand a T4. Again, it's really much easier to, when you're looking at actual T4, the text is a lot easier to read and see. Okay, so now we have a T5 is the next thing that we want to understand. And so T5 slips are completed and issued by banks and other financial institutions. And this is a statement of investment income. So if you invest money, then they send you this and it tells you the money that you've made off those investments. So it keeps an official record of the amount of interest earned by invested or saving money. So interest is considered income and is therefore taxable income. You also can have more than one T5 slip depending on if you have more than one investment. So a T5 slip looks like this. Well, again, it has the year and the various information in the lines. So the amount that you paid into that's eligible to be taxed, the actual amount that you paid in, and then the taxable amount, and then the dividend tax credit for eligible dividends. So again, this language might not be a language that you really understand, but you fill in the forms based on the numbers. And it's okay that if you don't totally understand, this isn't all language that I totally understand. Then again, your name and the place that you've invested money. So for another example, looking at a T5, so this is Jane's T5 from 2017. So how much interest did she earn? So we look and it says interest from Canadian sources is $2,400. So $2,400 is how much interest she earned. If Jane's T4 states that her employment income was $28,724.60, how much income in total does she need to claim? So she needs to claim this income that she did from her employment, but she also needs to claim this interest amount as part of her income. So you need to add the two together. So we add our income, employment income, and the interest income. And so it's going to be $31,121.60 is how much Jane actually needs to claim as her income. And then there's also other kinds of receipts. So people submit other records such as receipts from daycare, from organized sports activities, from charities. These are all can be deductibles. So they're saying that you're paying into these programs and then they're tax deductibles. Also like things like I just heard about, there's a Ontario staycation thing going on right now this year. So if you stayed in like a campsite or a hotel in Ontario this past year, you can claim that on your taxes. So it's trying to the government's trying to encourage incomes and vacations to happen within Canada in order to help the economy in Ontario instead of people going other places. So then you can deduct that from your taxes and get more of a return possibly. So the institution or the organization who received the money will be named on the receipt. And then their following information if it's a charity. So it has the official charity logo and the official names and signatures of the officials on it if it's for a charity. Or so here's an example. This is Connects Kids Fund. So it goes to Jack Runner, was the person who paid. And here is the signature of the official place, the official receipt, registration number, and the amount was for $5. So all that information is on the receipt. So now you should be able to do the support questions on page 31 to 32, numbers 1 through 4. That is all about the tax forms. All right, so now we are continuing with hidden taxes, which is a little bit different than what we've been talking about so far, but still important to understand. So people are pay both direct and indirect taxes. Direct taxes are taxes like property tax, HST, and income tax, which we've talked about income tax a lot, and we're going to talk about HST sales tax in our next lesson, I believe. But indirect taxes are taxes that are included in the selling price of the item and sometimes known as hidden taxes. So you don't, whereas like sales taxes are added on top of the prices that we have in Ontario and in Canada. But for these things, they're already included. And so you don't necessarily know that there's a tax that you're paying. So first we have jewelry tax, which is on page 35 of your IL booklet. And so this is 10% of the wholesale price, the price that the store pays. And it's included in the store's asking price. So what that means is that, so for example, what is the amount of indirect tax that will be added to the sale price of a brooch with a wholesale price of $57? So the store pays to wherever the store gets the brooch. The store pays $57. But then there's the tax, which is 10%. So 10% of $57 is, so we have to do 10% times 57, which is equal to 0.10 times 57, which is equal to $5.70. So that means that the sale price is equal to $57 plus $5.70. That's how much they actually are charging because they have to pay this tax to the government on the jewelry. So then they're paying, so the sale price is going to be $62.70 based on having just this tax added on top of the wholesale price. And that's how jewelry taxes is added. It's always 10% of the price the store pays. So now you can do the support question 7 on page 35. Now we have cigarette tax. So this is also on page 35 of your IL booklet. So in Ontario, there are 3 cigarette taxes included in the selling prices of cigarettes. So when you buy cigarettes, these taxes are already included. They don't go on top of the price, but they're already included of the actual cigarettes. Also HST, so we'll talk about this tomorrow or next lesson. The harmonized sales tax is also taxed on top of the price of the cigarettes, which includes these other 3 taxes. So this is old numbers and I forgot to update it. So sorry about that. I believe I updated it in your IL booklet, but the principle is the same. I've just forgot to update it on my slideshow, my bad. So anyway, the idea is that on a carton of cigarettes with the selling price of $40.70, which is ridiculous. This is not how much cigarettes are sold for at this time. But anyway, imagining that we're back in the day when they were, then the provincial government collects $8.90. The federal government collects $6.85. And then they also collect another $5.50 I'm not exactly sure why there's 2. I tried to find more information about it. I wasn't able to. So that's how it used to be. But as of March 29th, 2018, the current tax rates are 18.475 cents per cigarette, 18.475 cents per gram or part gram of tobacco product used other than cigarettes or cigars. So like if you get a pouch of tobacco or if you get loose tobacco to roll your own cigarettes, this is paid per gram, or 56.6% of taxable price of a cigar. So looking at cigarettes. So say a pack of cigarettes costs $15 and includes 25 cigarettes. So how much is the cigarette tax? So this is going to be included in hidden. So remember, for each cigarette, it is 18.475% per 1 cent. Oh, sorry, not a cent per cigarette. So that means that for 25 cigarettes, we times 18.475 cents. So using our calculator, we have 25 times 18 cents, 0.475, which is 461.875 cents. So this is kind of confusing because it's really small, because we want to then think about that as a dollar. So we're going to take that answer and divide it by 100. So to change it into divide into dollars, 100 cents. So $4.62 is the actual tax on the cigarette. So then how much is the HST on the pack? So HST, we're going to talk about more in general. It's 13%. So this is inside the $4.16 is included in the $15 for that pack. The HST is on top. So we need to do $15 times 13%, so 0.13. So another $1.95 is the HST is added on top of the $15. So then what percentage of the total price is taxes? So the total price first, let's figure out, is $15 plus $1.95. So $16.95. The total taxes is that $4.62 plus the $1.95. So that's going to be $6.57. You can use your Desmos calculator or not. So then the percentage of taxes is $6.54 divided by $16.95. So that is equal to, so this is when we're calculating the percentage, right? So we have $6.57 set in fraction divided by $16.95, the total. So, and then we times that by 100 is equal to 38.8%. So of the cigarettes, of how much you're paying for cigarettes, 38.8% is for taxes. All right, so now you can do the support questions on 35 to 36, questions 8 through 11 for the cigarette taxes. Then finally, we have gasoline tax, and this is on page 36. So the gasoline taxes are collected by both federal and provincial governments. HST is not added to the selling price of gasoline as it's already included. So you don't have to add, for cigarettes, we added HST. For gasoline tax, we don't have to. In 2022, the government taxes for federal is 10 cents per liter and provincial Ontario is 14 cents per liter. So what is the total of the two taxes if we get 35 liters of gas? So federal, and again, you can look this stuff up. You don't, in your LA booklet, you don't have to have this memorized. So federal was 14 cents per liter and provincial Ontario. Actually, I got that backwards. It was 14 cents per liter and federal was 10 cents per liter, I believe. See, this is why you look it up because even I don't remember and I just said it. Yes. Okay, so how we figure that out for 35 liters is we say, well, 35 liters times 10 cents per liter is equal to 35 times 10 cents is 350 cents. So that is equal to $3.50. That's how much tax is of what you pay is taxes for federal taxes. The same 35 liters times 14 cents per liter is equal to, I'm not going to do that in my head. I think I could, but I'm just going to do it here to make sure that I do it right. 35 times 14 cents. Great if I actually click the buttons. 14 cents is 490. So 490 cents, which is equal to $4.90. So the total taxes is $3.50 plus $4.90, which is $8.40 in taxes. And that's how you find how much of the gasoline that you're paying for, how much are actually taxes. Okay, so you can do the support questions on page 36 to 37, questions 12 till 14. All right, so we've done a lot today. Let's consolidate everything that we've learned today. So this is the second part of lesson 4, paying taxes. So we looked at tax paperwork, which we included the TD1, the Schedule 1, and the ON 428 forms. We also looked at the T4 slip, which is your income, and the T5 slip, which is any interest that you've earned from any investments that you made. And then we talked about receipts, which are like charity receipts or daycare receipts, things like that, which you then claim that you paid these, and that helps lower how much of your taxable income is because you paid those important services. Then we talked about hidden taxes, and we looked at how jewelry tax is 10% of the wholesale price, how cigarette tax is 18.475 cents per cigarette, and how gasoline tax is 10 cents per liter on federal taxes, is federal taxed, and 14 cents per liter is Ontario tax. So all of these taxes we don't see in your, they are just seem to be included in the price, but it's to know that those things go to the government, again, to contribute to the money that we're paying for our society to support our communities. All right, so our success criteria. The success criteria 1 was that you can recognize the forms to file and the paperwork needed to file income tax. So hopefully you can do that. And 2, you can calculate indirect taxes on cigarettes, jewelry, and gasoline. Hopefully you have a bit of an understanding. Again, this isn't something that you need to do on your own, but just understanding how money works in our communities is really important to understand where your money is going. All right, so that is our lesson for today. Again, I know that This is a lot. Lesson 4 is really packed in with taxes. Taxes are a big thing to understand in our world. So if you have any questions, please reach out and contact me. I know it can be very confusing. Of course, go and watch the replays on YouTube to understand and to slow things down, to pause them, practice, come back to things, but also reach out if you're confused, because this is definitely confusing stuff that lots of folks are very confused about. So I'm here to support you however I can. You can call me at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or also toll free at 1-800-667-3703. You can email me at bronwyn.slate, and that is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE at nnec.on.ca. You can Facebook message me at bslatewasa. And also remember, my YouTube channel is Wahsa, where we have a playlist called MEL3E, where all of our lessons from this year and last year, our lessons, our MEL3E lessons are in this year. There's an archive from last year's on just the general channel that you can check out if you want to see how I explained it last year, if I did it any different, if it was better. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So reach out to me during those times if you want to get me directly. If that doesn't work, we can connect to figure out a time that does work for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you've learned something useful and that this all makes sense. If not, please reach out. I'm here to support. Have a lovely day and miigwech.